Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for your great support always. I'm so grateful for your continued support to this channel. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. You will not believe what the BBC today released in the name of Blood Parliament. This documentary of Blood Parliament is now creating tension. As you can see, the military has been associated with it. When you look on the other side of William Ruto, is a man at the center. Now, as you speak, things are not good. As furious members of parliament, they are now demanding the BBC to be banned, to be banned, and their licenses to be revoked. Reason being, when you look at what George Peter Kaluma has said in terms of the documentary that was released today by the BBC, Honorable George Peter Kaluma, the Member of Parliament of Homa Bay Town, is saying, ban BBC Africa in Kenya. The role played by the media in any democracy is too important to be discharged irresponsibly. The media can build greater democracy or destroy an otherwise stable state. Lest we forget, Rwanda genocide would have not occurred were it not for reckless media. Blood Parliament documentary by BBC is twisted, passionate, reckless, and intended to incite chaos in Kenya. The relevant agencies of the government of Kenya must act fast to withdraw BBC license in Kenya. That is what Honorable Peter Kaluma is saying. Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue, as you always do, ensure you like the video. When you like the video, you automatically support the work that I'm doing in this channel, because sometimes you watch and you forget liking the video. So this is just a reminder. As you watch, please consider liking the video. Thank you so much for that like. When you watch the BBC documentary, it is pure truth. I've seen close allies of William Ruto, or let me say close allies of the broad-based government. They are now trying to rubbish that the documentary named Blood Parliament, they are claiming that is a fake and propaganda from BBC to create chaos in the Republic of Kenya. So the KDF is also associated in this documentary. And now the Kenya Defense Forces, KDF, has broken its silence after a BBC documentary alleged that one of officers was among the security personnel who killed young protesters on June 25th, 2024 during anti-financial bill protest. So the BBC documentary titled Blood Parliament reveals details of the events of June 25th, when Parliament was breached during the Gen Z demonstration. Now, the BBC documentary alleged that aside from police officers, there were other shooters, possibly drawn from KDF, particularly the Kenya Army involved, of course, in the Gen Z protest. So we are being told that the officers uliona pale kwa street, some of them were drawn from the military, the KDF, specifically from army. Now, the investigation, which runs for 37 minutes, and if you have not watched, go and watch, because I cannot display their videos, I might get a copyright, is now based on a digital evidence showing the killing of dozens of youths. Now, once of the findings, the way I've seen from the BBC, is that one shooter had unique dress code, unlike the plainclothes police officers at the scene. Of course, this raising doubts about whether he belonged to the police units. Now, this is whatever the BBC reported, saying, in the video of the officer shooting, saying "Ua," which means kill in English, the shooter's back was to the camera. But the BBC compared his body armor, sawa, hiyo yamevaa, riot shield, ile ya kushikilia ile, sawa, and headgear, back was, of course, headgears with those of every police officers at the scene. So we are being told in this case, he had, of course, upturned neck. Upturned neck. We matched his distinctive uniform to an officer in the video record second later. There, he made sure to hide his face before firing into the crowd. We do not know his name. That is the part of BBC report. So they are claiming, you can see there was some logo here. Umejua logo ya army ifanani na police. It's so different. Kenyans, even if I don't know anything, at least I know. Ukiangalia polisi vile wanavaa ni tofauti na vile jeshi wanavaa. Even if their uniform might rhyme, but kuna vile ule mwenye alikuwa amemakiwa hapa, kulikuwa na kitu kama logo hapa ya white. I watched that documentary. It was so sad. So it was also claimed that one of the shooters, remember, during the invasion of Parliament, was linked to the Central Police Station in Nairobi. However, when the BBC tried to trace the officer, the efforts failed. This creating confusion about his actual station of assignment. Are you getting that? So the protests were triggered by the controversial finance bill that aimed to raise 346 billion in taxes, and which was later withdrawn by William Ruto. So on this side, there is one man claimed as one of the KDF, specifically coming from Army. In KDF, we have Army, we have Air Force, and we have Navy. Are you getting that? So this was specifically drawn from Army. So during the chaos, on June 25th, protesters opposed the finance bill, and this forced them to storm the street. So we have been told some individuals you saw on the video shooting Kenyans, some of them were not police. So the KDF, they're feeling and they're furious that was not one of them. But on this side, when you look at the criteria how these police officers, they were doing it, it was from a command from someone. From someone. And this someone alikuwa mkubwa. Na yeye ndio alikuwa na. So later tukiambiwa kwamba the KDF waliletwa the gazettement by Eden Duale, by then he was the CS of defense. Mnaelewa hapo? So wakati walitoa the gazettement at KDF wakuje kwa street, mpaka sasa hata haijaitolewa. Hawajai revoke that gazettement, So we are being told there's some confusion here. But again, we are being told MPs, they are now demanding the BBC wanyang'anywe license. Why? Because mbona wanafichua ukweli. So wana claim ati hii is a great chaos in Kenya. But the reality is Kenyans were killed. We were promised that Kenyans are going to be paid. They were going to be compensated. This is the thing of course, one of the thing Raila Odinga signed with William Ruto. So when I hear some individuals are saying hiyo ilishafanyika, but handshake ilifanyika in between William Ruto and Raila, hii maneno ya compensation ilikuwa pale. So the KDF, they are like, no, that person you're saying was KDF, was not. On this side, MPs are saying the BBC, they did bad, not the work they did was not right. So they must be, their license must be revoked. You know, I don't see any problem with the BBC. The reality be told, what BBC told today was clear, and you can see with your two eyes. That man who doesn't have his eyes or her eyes, that is the person that doesn't understand the pain that Kenyans passed through during that demonstration. So there's kind of panic because now wanaonyeshwa ukweli. What do you think? Drop your opinion at the comment section below. Otherwise, thank you so much because of your great support. Please consider subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing this video. Bye bye till we meet in another video.